Yo, welcome back, Full Heel Podcast. I am your host, Rafael Chaidez, the host of the Full Heel Podcast. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Check me out on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, all that stuff on all the platforms for your audio needs. I want to welcome my guest today. I have Ryan, all the way from Canada. We are internationals. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. And it's International Week because I just had Canada Day, and you guys got 4th of July coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, so actually, good thing you're on here. I got a gripe to pick with Canada. Stop piggybacking off our goddamn fucking holidays. You guys want we're like, hey, we got the 4th of July, and you're like, oh yeah, well we got the 1st of July. It's like, what the fuck? And it's like, oh yeah, well we got Thanksgiving. It's like, well we got Canadian Thanksgiving in October. It's like, what? You can't do that to us.
Yeah, but you gotta admit, and I've gotten into this with Jeff a bunch of times. October makes so much more sense.
I'll give it to you that
for a harvest celebration. Like November, you're not getting all those harvest veggies. Those things are long dead come November.
Yeah, but that's probably when they killed the Indians, was in November. So that's
why we celebrate that.
That's why they were celebrating.
We celebrate the feast. You celebrate the raping of land.
Yeah, you know,
the raping each their own.
The raping of probably heritagely some of my indigenous people, just that lived further up north. They just lived a little bit further up than I did, but it's all good. I'm taking the land back as a Mexican American.
Fight for that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So happy Canada Day. What do you guys do for Canada Day? Do you guys pop fireworks too?
Yeah, it's basically just like 4th of July, but just we don't have like the southern states kind of. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you think of like 4th of July, you think with like the southern people blowing themselves up with fireworks and Joey Chestnut cramming wieners in his mouth. In Canada, we just kind of sit back, listen to some good music, drink some beer, and have a barbecue. That's about it.
Okay.
It's the exact same idea, just a lot more low key.
Nice. What I
no
do
offense to the southern states, but
I don't pop fireworks just because it's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's money that I can use for other stuff. What I do is I get high as shit and I'll drive down Lakeshore Drive. I live 2 minutes off of the expressway that literally feeds into Lakeshore Drive. You just drive up to 55 and it leads into Lakeshore Drive, and you drive down. I took Jeff down it. He had never been down Lakeshore Drive. Well, he's from Michigan, but he said it was beautiful too because to the right, you drive down the beach, down the lake shore, and to the right is all the buildings that it's the skyline. It's the Chicago skyline, so it's beautiful because you get to drive down all that, and I do it at night, so all the lights come on, but during the 4th of July, Navy Pier has their fireworks show. A lot of people go on the beach for their fireworks. So you're looking down this way, and it's fucking boof, boof, fireworks, fireworks, fireworks. And on the left-hand side, you have the buildings all lit up as well. Fireworks going off everywhere. It's fucking crazy. I can't wait this year again. I love seeing the aerial views every year of the 4th of July. They have the fucking drones, and it's just pop, 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 pop.
It's one thing I miss about living in Windsor is the Detroit River and like the Detroit skyline, because the International Freedom Festival, it's like a co-American Canadian little festival thing they put on end of June. They did this huge fireworks display that goes off all like downtown Detroit and then all up on the water. And then 4th of July, exact same thing. A huge fireworks display. It was always so much fun to see. I've kind of gotten out of fireworks as I've gotten older. I've had dogs in my life for the past 12 years now, so they just get petrified. And
my mom's dog hates it. She comes up here, she goes downstairs. She never comes up here because she's like staying with my parents, but she'll come up here and be like, I'm fucking terrified, help me.
If we're out, when we come home, there's just piss everywhere. But if we're home, the dog is usually more chill, just because like someone's there to be with him. But it's and also fireworks when you're trying to put a kid to sleep are a bitch. Like
that's why I took Friday off. Today I took it off just because I was tired, and I'm like, you know what? Let's extend this break. So I took today off. I did day 1 of boxing with my niece, so this is me getting back into shape. Me fucking watch. These genetics are gonna come out. I'm a big dude. I got a lot of muscle under this fat. It's just a matter of getting this fat off. You watch, Ryan. You're gonna be fucking beating off to me while we're doing podcast.
You be coming here looking like Cain Velasquez.
Yep, and you're gonna be Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So my niece thought she knew what boxing was because she had done it at school. But at school, the best they're gonna show her is how to run laps and how to hit some pads and get some frustration out. I was showing her a little bit of footwork, how to throw a proper jab, how to throw a fencing jab, how to cut the distance, how to measure your distance, teaching her the science about the potential energy, the kinetic energy, how to chain the energy within your body. The jab leads to the cross, to the hook. I was teaching her a lot of that. She's like, wow. She's like, I didn't know it was all of this. I'm like, yes, this is what fighting is, and I will teach you how to be a machine. I will teach you how to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you will be a killer. She's like, I didn't know you could do all this. I'm like, well, you didn't know because I have to show it to you, and if I have to show you the killer, you're not gonna like the killer.
Well, and also you don't want people to know your secrets because when Christmas time comes around and you want to get that last turkey drumstick, and the fight break, you don't want people trained. You want to have the advantage.
Yeah, so I got to keep some secrets.
No, but that's awesome though. It's good to hear that we were talking before you record that it's good that she's interested in that.
Yeah.
And she has someone close to her that is very knowledgeable and can help her, so she doesn't have to go to a gym and throw down a couple $100 just to get the bare necessities of it. Like you're able to teach her a lot more that she could learn, and and like I said, she's not paying an arm and a leg for these lessons, so it's awesome.
Yeah, no, and like she's turning 15 this month, so we have 3 years of work that we can put into her, and if she really likes this and picks it up, and is soaked up all the knowledge that I can give her, then we can get her on a path to get into the UFC and start beating these girls' asses.
There you go.
Because this women's division is still developing. We have some girls at the top of the heap that are masters, but we have the division that is still learning, and the division is leaps and bounds away from that. So who's to say 3 years from now I could have a fucking Valentina Shevchenko on my hands?
Well, I remember saying to people years ago with Ronda Rousey, and I take nothing away from what she accomplished, but I always said that she was like Hoist Gracie and that she was the one-trick pony. And Hoist Gracie, again, I'm taking anything away from him, but he was a one-trick pony. And the second that the game evolved, you saw with Matt Hughes, and when all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, these guys can actually wrestle, he was fucked. Ronda Rousey, oh, this girl can actually stand up and strike, she was screwed. You do see, and it does in sometimes it takes 10 years, 15 years for that to happen. But with the way that the sport has grown in the past, 13 years since Ultimate Fighter 1, how big it's gotten, you're seeing almost like someone's hitting like the fast forward button. Does that make sense? Like you're seeing, like you said, Shevchenko. Like no one could have imagined when Ronda Rousey signed that there was a girl that could do what she does.
No, because she could do everything. Not only, well, it's because she's been striking her whole life, and then she's like, let me see what this MMA shit is about. And she's been working that ground game, and
exactly, yeah.
So, like I said, 3 years from now, we can see where the game is. I'm viewing where the game is. All I really need to do is watch video, and I have the secrets of the arm bars. I have a whole instructional, like hours of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructionals from Gracie Barra instructors. I have Russian guys giving me just techniques on arm bars because they know judo throws into arm bars, so they've perfected the arm bar, and they give you the arm bar, and it's adaptable into MMA. It's just learning how to do the arm bar. Once you have the technique for the arm bar, well, let's learn how to, when you're in the position to do it, let's do it, or let's get to the position to do it.
Right.
So, like, I have the tools available to me, and I have the base that I have from mixed martial arts myself. So, I know a lot of these things. It's just a refresher of the step by step. do this here, do this here, push off with your leg here, move your hips here, boom, twist here, boom, you got it. Perfect technique. Like I said, if I can keep going with this, and she seems dedicated with it, I can work on me and getting the body I've always wanted, fucking getting jacked. It was just losing fat. I've always been super strong, like a fucking.
Like an ox.
Yeah, fucking strong like bull.
Yeah.
Go ahead and check me out on YouTube, being vain and flexing. But yeah, I could have her on the Rousey. But we are here to talk about Bash at the Beach, 1996. I don't know why me and Jesus have not covered this. Me and Jesus were calling each other the outsiders in high school. We have I should have ran over and got my outsider shirt. It's super tight. I have the outsider shirt
like
with
the
NWO.
old school one.
It just says it's black and it says the outsiders and it has NWO on the sleeve. Me and Jesus ordered them in high school and we have the same shirt. I was Nash he was my Hall to me being Nash just because I was the bigger guy and I'm big sexy. I'm sexier than Jesus. We all know that. Even though you guys haven't seen them, there's pictures out there. You guys can find them. I'll get them on video one day. One of these days.
One of these days.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird that me and Jesus haven't really ever done this pay-per-view. We've talked about it. Like, we've talked about doing it for the NWO. We've talked about doing the formation of the NWO, but Jesus is busy. So, it actually fits perfect because this is Full Heel Podcast. It's July 3rd. Tomorrow is... Well, you guys will probably all hear it on July 4th or after this. So, happy 4th of July. This is why we're doing Bash at the Beach, July 7th, 1996. The formation of the NWO. Yeah, but
it was a random one too because we were trying to like figure out like, oh, what should we do? What do we do? And I was like, oh god, I'm like, oh, it's summertime, it's Canada Day, it's like 4th of July, there's like holidays coming up, like, Bash at the Beach kind of like is like WWF never really had like that summer review until like late August with SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. So to have like one in July, it was gonna be Bash at the Beach. I was just trying to think, I was like, I don't know if Raph has done the 96 at the NWO for me, and I thought you might have, but I thought I did too. Because I was actually looking at one of the Beach Blasts from like 92 or 3, like one of the older ones, and because they were looking kind of corny, I thought, you know what? No, like, I try this one first, and yeah, you were down for it, so I'm kind of happy because
when you said let's do Bash at the Beach 96, I'm like, I did this, but I'll do it again. It's such. I'm like, I love the NWO. We'll get Ryan's take, and then I watched it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I haven't done this one. I'm like, I've done the Halloween Havocs this year. I've done the Starcades this year. I'm like, but I haven't done the actual formation of the NWO. And so I guess the major storyline leading up to this was Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, took his leave from WWF because he didn't get what he wanted money-wise.
A.k.a. the Diamond Stud.
The Diamond Stud. A.k.a. Mr. Machismo.
Yeah.
The bad guy. So he didn't get the money that he wanted or that he thought he deserved. Nash's contract was coming up as well, so he talked to Nash and he's like, look, I'm going to go get my money from Billionaire Ted. You should come with me. They decided they were leaving the WWF to go sign with Billionaire Ted. TNT was just about to pick up Nitro. I think they might have had Nitro. I think they just picked up Nitro. No, I think the year before they picked up Nitro because of Hogan. As soon as Hogan came in, they picked up Nitro.
Right.
And these guys were coming in to take over. But Nitro was fairly new. Hall comes in on one of the Nitros at the very end and just interrupts a match. The match isn't even over. He doesn't attack anyone. And he's like, hey, I'm bringing the big guy. We're taking over. Blah, blah, blah. This. All you old farts are done.
It was a good dragged out storyline. Because it was just like you said, it wasn't even like interference. It was just like a quick, like, jump in, grab the mic, shows the security guys the ticket. And it was like a 3-4 week thing, and just slowly building it up. Like, what's he doing here? Like, you don't know what's happening. And like, I went back and I checked out like some segments of Nitro around this time for when Hall was doing this and before Nash was there. And I was always under the influence. Like, I knew that Hall was there, but I thought it was like Hall came out the next week, Hall and Nash were out, and then it was all everything went off, but it was like a slow build to get to where they were.
Oh yeah, no, it was over. It wasn't just 2 weeks. I think it was over 3 weeks, and then finally Nash comes out on the Titantron, and they bully around Bischoff.
Yeah.
And Nash saying, "Oh, because their WCW slogan was this is where the big boys play," and Nash comes out and says, "Play." That's the word, or that.
Oh, look at the adjective.
Yeah,
play. We're not here to play. Like that's not an adjective.
Yeah,
but
it's like, hey, dude, it's a verb.
Yeah.
But okay, Nash, we get what you're trying to say. You said it confidently enough to where
we believe you. Yes, yeah. That is an adjective now.
You're big enough to where we won't argue with you. So they're interrupting matches, and then they actually powerbomb Bischoff that night off of the ramp, and onto a table. He can't attend the pay-per-view because of this, because he's fucked up.
And that was a pretty big bump at that time for like an official.
Yeah.
That like I would say like referees getting like maybe like a sweet chin music from Shawn Michaels or something like that. Like you didn't see Vince McMahon or announcers like anyone outside the ring really taking a big bump like that. Like they really kind of pushed the envelope there with having him being attacked.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. And so he was out of the pay-per-view, and the whole pay-per-view they're wondering if he can call in or if Bischoff has appeared because he's part of the announce team and he's never missed a pay-per-view, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. So then the pay-per-view leads up, and we won't get that much into it till we come up to it, but it's going to be a three-way match between Sting, Lex Luger, and Macho Man, all face painted up, kind of like Sting, versus the Outsiders and the man of their picking that they're bringing in as well. So it's the Mystery Man for the main event. We don't know. And the whole pay-per-view, that's what they will be bringing up, and that's what they will be referring to. Who's the third man? They're scared for their safety. The announcers, Dusty Rhodes, Mike Tenay, and who else was there?
The Brain, Bobby.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
And he stole the show, I think, for when he had some amazing moments on commentary that just killed me. Like
him and Dusty, boom, perfect, because
untouchable.
The Brain plays such a great weasel, because he's not he knows that Dusty will fuck him up or whatever. So he plays the weasel, and he's always complimenting, like whenever he says ridiculous words, he's like, yeah, exactly, Dusty.
And even like and it was funny because you wouldn't. Maybe we'll talk about it more when we get to the main event, but he was always the bad guy. So to hear him defending the good guys was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But then at the end when Hogan turns and he's like, I knew it. I knew for years he was this and that. Like he was like all of a sudden like the weasel was justified in his hatred for Hogan, which is kind of weird that the bad guy is now becoming the good guy, taking on the baby turned heel. So it was a kind of a fun event for him in a weird way.
Let's see. Sorry. So commentators were Bobby Heenan, Dusty Rhodes, Tony Schiavone, and Mike Tenay. I knew Mike Tenay was there, but he I don't think he's sitting there with them, but I knew he was there. Tony Schiavone was the one I couldn't remember. The main ones are Tony Schiavone, Dusty Rhodes, and Bobby Heenan with Mike Tenay.
There was a weird thing in the at the beginning of the Ray Psychosis match where it pops up on the bottom of the screen, says voice of Mike Tenay. So you know that the other three are there doing the commentary, but then Mike Tenay was just, I guess, I don't know if he was elsewhere, just ringside or whatever he was. He just wasn't at the booth with the other three for some reason.
Mike Tenay does a fantastic job calling out moves, the proper names to the moves.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets enough credit, and to this day, I don't think he's actually announcing. I don't know where he's at, to be honest.
Mike Tenay? I'm not sure where he's at now.
Yeah, I don't know. So, just to get a perspective at this time, let's see. King of the Ring 1996 was June 23rd for WWF. They had In Your House International Incident. I guess that would be the July one, but that's not their major one for like a Bash at the Beach to go against. I don't think I would pick that one.
No.
So in comparison, I guess I would go to the King of the Ring for 96. WWF right now is doing Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog for their main event for the world title. Mr. Perfect is a special guest referee as a special outside enforcer. All right. Stone Cold's taking on Jake the Snake. I guess it's a King of the Ring final match. Is this where we get the Stone Cold?
This is the Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass. That was that was that event. Yeah.
So this is the beginning of the Monday Night Wars, but this is also the beginning of Austin's super crazy rise, character change into Stone Cold Steve Austin, where he cuts a crazy promo on Jake the Snake and actually references the Bible verse 316 because Jake the Snake referenced Bible verses, didn't he?
Yeah, when he came back in 96, he was actually a born again at this point. And so they used that in the gimmick, and they kind of made him. He wasn't like he wasn't a preacher in costume, but he was a preacher in character kind of thing. Like Damien was gone, and Lucifer was gone. So now he had the new snake, and it was an albino python, and it was Revelations. So it was like a lot of that, and yeah, and it was, and of course that was where he took the Bible verses for his promo that just blew him out of the water to the start that he had.
We have some characters here coming into WWF that are eventually going to play a key role in taking over the Monday Night Wars. So we have Mankind taking on The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Mankind was abandoned by Paul Bearer, brought in by Paul Bearer, and eventually abandoned. Mankind is crazy, goes crazy, wants to fight The Undertaker. I guess he takes him on here. We also have The Ultimate Warrior versus Jerry Lawler. This is not the pay-per-view that we saw. I'm just so you guys get a little bit of a comparison of what's going on oppositely at the beginning of these Monday Night Wars and what WWF was doing. And they weren't doing so bad. If you actually look at the card on paper, it's better than the one we have over here. It's just that at the time, the storylines and the creative might have been better on WCW's end. We got the Smoking Guns with Sonny taking on the Godwins. Jake Roberts moving on. Stone Cold moving on against Mark Marrow. Jake the Snake, who do you take on?
Was that Vader?
Yeah, he won by disqualification.
Vader like destroyed his ribs, and that was the whole storyline going forward, that Jake's ribs were messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was their card for King of the Ring 1996, and which will bring me and you to discuss what WCW is doing on their end to put on a pay-per-view. And from here on out, I think this is where the WCW is going to start taking over in ratings.
It should be pointed out also at King of the Ring 96, I mean, this is obviously nothing new. If you were a listener to the podcast, you probably know full well that Triple H was supposed to witness King of the Ring and go forward in his career, but with Hall and Nash leaving Connecticut for Atlanta, it was the whole the infamous Madison Square Gardens farewell, the curtain call
for the Click.
Yeah, and that was where Vince was like, "Well, I can't punish Hall and Nash because they're leaving. I can't punish Michaels because he's the most over babyface. He's our champion. So, all right, Triple H, you're doing a squash match against Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania. Then you're gonna lose a bunch of matches going forward, and then kind of build him up around SummerSlam, and afterwards with DX going into '97."
Yeah, so that's actually great input. That's exactly what's going on right now, and it's a wonder that Triple H was able to get as over as he is. And I know a lot of it is because he married Steph, but just them allowing him to marry Steph.
Yeah,
the McMahons had to have a partner like of agreeing to it.
For sure.
Unless he just knocked her up or something.
Yeah, but you got to wonder, like, with the NWO blowing up the way it was, if the WWF didn't have the powers of Stone Cold at this King of the Ring, and at SummerSlam with Owen Hart, and then the following year winning Royal Rumble and getting to WrestleMania with his star burning so bright at this time. If he doesn't cut that promo, and a month later the NWO was formed, like WWF already was dying against the NWO. If they didn't have Austin to pick them up 8 months, 9 months later, like who knows like how bad like things could have got. Like it's like if Triple H wins and he goes on to fight Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, it's a probably a lot different landscape in 97, 98, 99 than what we end up seeing happen.
Yeah. So what's yeah that had to have kept people's interest. The beginning of these people's characters. Well, yeah, it had to have because I was just thinking about it, like how we talk about it. WWE wasn't doing bad. They just weren't doing as good as WCW. They had a lot of key players and a lot
They
of
hit
people
a stagnant period.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the early 90s, after Hulkamania started to dwindle down and he was kind of leaving doing movies and the title was kind of passed around to Ultimate Warrior and Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter and that kind of stuff. Like
they did it to themselves by that
for
Yokozuna
sure.
spot, WrestleMania 9.
Yeah.
Hogan left and then came back and they didn't put it on Brett. And after that, there was kind of a stagnant period because they kind of were with Brett, but they weren't, and they pulled the trigger, but then they didn't, and it's
and Vince's crutch was always relying on, Hogan, Austin, Cena. Like he always goes back to the cash cow, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it works, but when that cash cow goes away, and you haven't built up a lot of talent, like you have the Ultimate Warrior, like I said, in Slaughter, like these guys weren't ready to be champions, and Hogan could only beat so many. Like eventually, Hogan has to give up the belt, and I mean, Yokozuna's a star, but he wasn't really worthy, I don't think, of being a champion. Like he couldn't talk. He was very limited in the ring. Like, he was a monster. He was like Andre the Giant. He was a great attraction, but he could never be a long-term champion and draw ratings. And when they had got like Nash and Hall in there, they didn't take advantage of them in the right way. I mean, Nash had like a 1 year run with the title, but it's very forgettable because they didn't put him with the proper people. They didn't give him enough matches against, I think, Shawn and Brett and even like the Bulldog at that time. Like they were more worried about trying to get the big guy to look big and not worry about what the opponent looks like.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little distracted. Shout out to Mr. National Soldier dropping comments in the YouTube. Yeah, but later we'll see Warrior come, and they don't. WCW doesn't use him, right? But sorry.
No one really ever used him, right? I mean, he what he was in WWF was all you were really gonna get from him. Yeah. So, but
let's get into the first match of Bash at the Beach, 1996. Is Rey Mysterio Jr. in a very familiar position for him? He's always in the opening spots. If not, it's the cruiserweights. But I hadn't come across a lot of the Psychosis pay-per-views. I know he's in there a lot. So we get to see Psychosis. Psychosis is one of my favorites. I used to pick him in WCW versus NW. No, the Revenge one, maybe the second one where they added.
Yeah, Revenge.
Characters. He wasn't in the first one. World Tour, he wasn't in. So I used to pick Psychosis. My cousin would pick Juventud. We used to fucking do top rope shit. So we have two cruiserweights here, but one noticeably a lot bigger than Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is a tiny 21-year-old guy. Definitely not on the steroids at this time.
Yeah, you forget how young some of these guys are. Like the luchadors are when they first go here back in the mid to late 90s. Like they were super young, and you see when you see how good they are in the ring, you realize like they've been doing this for 10, 15 years. Some of them in their early 20s. Like they were like 7, 8 years old. Some of these guys getting in the ring the first time.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to see the Psychosis match. I took notes on this one. This was this was the best match out of the night.
Oh, yeah.
We got to see a power luchador not use his high-flying abilities as much as he usually does because he's facing a super high-flyer babyface. We have Rey Mysterio playing the babyface role, Psychosis playing the heel role. Ray goes to try to shake his hand right away. Psychosis isn't having it. He smacks it away. So they're setting up the lines right away. Let's see. What do I got on this? It starts off with an arm drag by Ray. And Ray's using some submissions, I guess, to try to break down Psychosis. He can't really start using his high-flying offense. It's a great way to tell a story, and we'll eventually get into Ray's ability to use the top ropes in order to gain the advantage of this. But we have him trying to use submissions. He goes for a half crab. Where is that Psychosis? Let's see. Oh, yeah. No, Psychosis Psychosis gets the upper hand right away. He goes for some good submissions. The arm scissors he goes on Ray with, pretty unique. We don't see that much more. Ray reverses that. Psychosis uses the ropes to get out of Ray's submissions. We have a lot of back and forth right away. Not a lot of high-flying stuff. After a little bit of back and forth, we have Psychosis starting to slam more. Let's see, Psychosis. We have a nasty dive to the outside by Psychosis where he actually hits his head on the fucking guardrail.
Yeah.
They try to play it off. Psychosis plays it off wonderfully, but we all saw he took a hit.
He was hit pretty good. And when these guys start, this is where when it starts getting really good. When these guys start going aerial, this match went to a whole nother dimension, and it was wild to see some of the things, because it's things that you don't. This is the stuff that I wish I would see more now that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Just sprinkled in. Like, I don't need to see it like every single Monday night, Tuesday night, whatever. But a match sprinkled in with stuff like this would be so great to see. But I don't personally think that they do enough outside the ring aerial moves anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one of the outside examples of the outside aerial moves is we have Psychosis somehow gets Ray onto the outside apron. Psychosis then joins him on the outside apron, tries to get an attack, a running attack on Ray. Ray monkey flips Psychosis into the post. Psychosis goes on the outside. Ray sets himself up, runs, and gets the Hurricane Rana that they keep on referencing. We have Mike Tenay. That's why I like Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay breaks it down very technically, gives you the moves that supposedly, I don't know how real this is, but this is a little bit of information that they add. Mike Tenay says that Ray's been idolizing Scott Steiner, and Scott Steiner does the Frankensteiner, so it's called the Hurricane Rana in Mexico. So it's Ray's version of the Frankensteiner into a pin, the Hurricane Rana. That's kind of Ray's finisher, which we'll see later on a couple times in different aspects. So right here we see it as a dive from the apron to the outside. Hurricane Rana gets Psychosis. He throws him in for the pin, but it's only 2 count. He needs to get the pin right away. It's great storytelling, great selling. He can't get the 2 count because it was an outside move. Let's see. Yeah, they continue their offense again, back and forth, but it's more of Psychosis getting the upper hand with, not so, good tactics. He's using heel tactics and power moves, more slams, and his patented leg drop, which eventually he does land off the top rope and gets a close 3 count. That's the leg drop I used to like using in video games a lot. Let's see. Ray gets dropped on the rail pretty nasty. It's across the chest. I know it's only across the chest, but that's a hard rail. He got lifted straight up and dropped right on it. Let's see. Then this leads to Psychosis going to the inside, taking the top rope, and does a nasty senton where his feet hit first and he still lands on Ray, but that was more of a hurt on Psychosis's part, to be honest. That hurt Psychosis more than anything.
I was actually surprised by that move. I thought that when he went to the top rope, maybe Ray was going to stand and it was just going to be like your traditional like cross body, or maybe like a flip kind of, but the fact that they gave a fall that big was like a wow moment for me. Like,
Yeah, no. So these guys, they lead up to a crescendo. It's gonna be they're saving the best for last. No spoiler alert. We'll get to it. Let's see. Ray actually lands a Hurricanrana off the top rope on the inside. Goes for the 3 count. Can't get it. Let's see.
He had that one really good. I guess it almost like the early variation of the 619, where in the 619 when he would do he'd land on their chest. Where here, it was wild to see him fly off the top rope, and it's almost like the second that he hit Psychosis's shoulders, he was already flipping him in for the pin. And that was you see how fast, almost like a rattlesnake just hits that move coming in off the top rope. You see just how agile and how quick he was, and and props to Psychosis to be able to to catch him and flip in that one motion was pretty remarkable as well.
Yeah, I don't know who mentions it. Probably Shivani's mentioned it, or Tanae mentions it. That these guys they had taken a seminar in Mexico, a wrestling seminar, and that's where the rivalry started. These guys have definitely wrestled in Mexico, and they know each other's style, so they have really good chemistry, and that's why we're able to see such good wrestling between these two guys. Ray's high flying moves were sprinkled perfectly into this match, so it could lead up to this point. The last 2 minutes of the match, we see Ray do a lot of high flying stuff, a lot of top rope stuff. That's fucking with Psychosis, which leads into the final spot. Psychosis gets Ray on his shoulders, belly up, slams him into the corner, and then goes for Splash Mountain, which is literally a razor's edge off the top rope. He goes for it, which leads into a reversal, and it's a Hurricanrana from a razor's edge off the top rope into a Hurricanrana.
So badass.
Yeah, dude. It was done pretty well. It was done pretty well. I don't know if I've seen that. I don't watch a lot of indie wrestling. I'm sure it's been done, but I don't know how many times that spot has done. A razor's edge into a Hurricanrana.
Off the top rope, no less.
Off the top rope, yeah. And it looked pretty smooth. They had the space from the top rope to do it. It was executed very well. I'd give this match a 3.75, 4 maybe.
Yeah, I'd say a solid 4 to 5. It was really, really good. If it's not it was not the match of the night because of historical reasons. I don't know. I was thinking more of that 4-way dog collar match.
Oh, okay. You know what? That one.
But this, if the main event is 1A, this is 1B, and this one for the action would definitely be number 1, whereas the main event has all of its greatness because of the story and the impact on the
central
sport.
Dude.
That's it, yeah.
That's all Hall and Nash did. That's all they did was play the heel role. As much as they could wrestle, they were like, "Fuck that! I'm poking your eyes, nuts. I'm doing the grimy." Look, I'm a heel. I don't care what the crowd wants. You ain't getting fucking shit off the top ropes. You're not getting nothing. You're getting heel. You're gonna hate me, but you're gonna love me because we're gonna have a great gimmick.
Yeah.
I go back and I watch these guys wrestle, and I'm like, man, these guys were shit. Like, they were playing the gimmick up crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't giving the crowd anything. They were giving they're getting beat up, heel shit. And then they would do fucking heel tactics, and fucking, that's how they were doing it.
It's almost like those, if you see, the old, 1950s footage, or if you ever hear people talking about wrestling from the 50s, how that was it. It was the face would just whoop, 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 and then the heel would just be, poke to the eye.
But they gave you enough. They gave you enough.
Just the perfect amount to be like, oh, good, he's getting his ass kicked. Ah, son of a bitch, he got him again. Just enough to keep you wanting that next touch.
Yeah. So we can move on to the next match. I don't know if you have anything else on.
All I'm gonna say is that I think the only bad thing with this match is that it was so good, is that the next match could not possibly in any way have lived up to it, and I think that the Big Boss Man and Earthquake, they had a 5-star match, but it was just so
Hey, bro.
overshadowed by
I don't want to
by.
confuse the audience here. This isn't
Oh,
the
oh, yeah,
WWF.
that's right. Big Bubba
Yeah.
Rogers and John Tenta.
Yes.
They
Yes.
they had the 5-star match, but you forget about it because of how great this other match was.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm gonna go on record. Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Psychosis, a 4 out of 5. You could have given it a little bit more time. It's actually a little bit shorter. It seems a little bit shorter than 15 minutes. It's a good match.
Yeah, it's the problem with those fast-paced guys sometimes that like it just goes. You lose track of how you're like that was 15 minutes. Like damn, like that was fast.
Yeah, and then you have this fucking atrocity of a good match.
But like, just get ready because it's like the next like 5 matches are just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So we'll get into it. That's why I took extensive notes on Rey Mysterio and Psychosis because I'm like, we need something to talk about.
Like, it starts great and it
Yeah.
ends great, and then like the inside was like the hamburger was like from McDonald's, not from your butcher.
Yeah. So you got Shark Attack, John Tenta, Avalanche. Was he Avalanche as well?
He was Avalanche. He was Earthquake. He was Golga. If you're familiar with the oddities back in the Attitude Era. R.I.P. to a Canadian wrestling legend.
And then he finally. Oh, was he? He was Canadian. I didn't know. He was
Yeah,
Canadian.
he was Canadian. Yeah.
So he used his real. Is this real name John Tenta here?
Yeah, that's his real name.
So
And that was his real haircut also.
Oh my God, yeah. So let's talk about this haircut. So he's bald. So he grew out the Hogan and then shaved half of the Hogan off. So he's got half skullet.
Yeah, because he had like the long thinning hair in WWF back when he was Earthquake, but when he left, he was kind of just hair kept on thinning, and I don't know. There was a spot in this match where was it Big Bubba? Big Bubba goes to cut his hair, and I don't know if there was a spot in a previous like Nitro or something where they attack him and shave his head. I don't know if he came out like this one day
with surgical tape scissors.
Yeah, that was yeah. They cut the tape and then he goes to cut his hair with the same.
Like, all right, so like, there's a lot. Even though this match sucks, there's a lot. So,
thank God this match. Thank God for Jimmy Hart.
Yeah,
like he saved any part. The reason why this match gets like a half a star.
Without this match, without Jimmy Hart, there is no ending to this. Oh, you know what? There is an ending because they bullshitted an ending into it.
Yeah. Yeah,
you should not be able to cut the fucking pole off of the ring post to win. All right, I know this is pro wrestling, but
you know what? Personally, I wanted to see who was gonna climb that. Mm-hmm. Which of those are two big guys? I'm waiting. Like, how are one of those men gonna get up and climb that pole and get that sock of Carson City silver coins?
Let's see. It's probably 10 feet above the. It's higher than the championships are in ladder matches.
It was
pretty up there.
And you can see it too when especially in the actually in the Rey Psychosis match, when they zoom out and you can actually see this pole and you're like, "What's that? Fuck's that pole there for?"
Yeah, that's the one that Psychosis got slammed monkey foot into right before Hurricanrana. So John Tenta even in the match shows that he can't get up there. Big Bubba can't get up there. The only person that can get up there is Jimmy Hart. So he's vital to this match. The only person that can get it is Jimmy Hart. So Tenta, Big Bubba, they're doing stupid moves, punching each other, and then Big Bubba, one of the big spots in it, he gets surgical tape or the tape that they use for their hands, and he starts taping Tenta, and Tenta's like, all right, don't tape me, please. And he's letting himself get taped to the fucking to the ropes.
And it wasn't like there was like a lot of like hard spots to be like, oh, he's like slightly unconscious or he's trying to regroup. Like, no, he was just like knocked into the ropes, fell down, and then got taped up. Like, there was no rhyme or reason why he couldn't move his hand.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, please don't, and he just let it happen. Let's see. After that, he tries to cut his hair with the surgical scissors for tape for some reason. Tenta escapes, uses it to cut the tape, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I saw this match once and I fast forwarded because it was ridiculous. Then we have Big Bubba distract the referee. Well, the referee's trying to stop Jimmy Hart from climbing the thing, but Big Bubba interferes because it became a pretty much no rules match. They pretty much talked about it during the match that, hey, what the hell? There's no rules. I guess there's no rules. Jimmy Hart shimmies up the pole, keeps his back to the action in the ring, slides down. Tenta at this point has taken the advantage in the ring. Takes the sock full of silver dollars from Jimmy Hart, pushes him, and Jimmy Hart kind of sells the spill.
Yeah, like all he kind of did was like, if his feet were about to be on the turnbuckle, he gets pushed so that his feet are not on the turnbuckle, but he's still just like hanging there.
Yeah.
Like I like at least put something out there, or like maybe Bubba's walking. I don't know. He couldn't have Bubba on the outside because there was have him fall off, like have him fall into somebody or into something. Like but have him just like dangle for 3-4 seconds and just like slide off is just a waste.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. And yeah, so Tenta acquires the silver dollar sock, knocks out fucking Big Bubba. I want to call him Big Boss Man. I'm like, that sounds
I know.
He knocks out Big Bubba, gets the pin, and then dumps the how many dollars is it? $10 in silver dollars?
Honestly, I thought that looked like $4 in quarters.
It's kind of embarrassing.
I like though the cool like Bossman, and if you watch the slow motion, at least he sold like the swing. Like he did knock his head back before he dropped it. I did appreciate that. And
so he's knocked out, and then he gets which is awesome. He gets the silver dollars placed on
his... I like that a lot. That was a nice little touch by Tenta.
And that wasn't the white power signal, guys. That was a symbol. That was the
that was the dollar signs going in the eyes.
Yeah. Because now that's the white power signal, apparently, your symbol. So the silver dollars are placed on his eyes, but he's talking to Tenta at the time, and like he's saying something. I don't know what he says.
Good match, man. Good match. We tore the house down.
Like, hey, dude, you just got fucking hit in the mouth with a thing full of silver dollars, which I might have a silver dollar up here that I'm saving forever. Here it is. God bless America. Let's see. I wonder if that'll focus in right now.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It may have been that big. Yeah, you know what? Maybe they were silver dollars. I might have to take that back.
Mexican bronze ones. I should take pictures and put them up on my. Yeah, that's what I'll do for my thing. There's a McDonald's Big Mac one that I never turned in. I have a free Big Mac coin.
Nice.
That I collected that I didn't want to use. It's up there somewhere. Got a lot of shit. Too much shit. But where were we, Ryan? Sorry, I got distracted.
I guess
silver dollar match.
Ranking of the silver dollar match. I don't know. Like,
so I get did he get the win by hitting him with the silver dollar match, or did he get the pin?
He got it was so weird. He hits him, and then he stood there for a second, and then he kind of like went down on one knee and half covered him, and he got the 3 count. But it was like, start to finish, this match was just like a shit show. Yeah. And I mean, I
guess if you need time to fill, here it is.
And in '96, maybe if you watched it, you knew why this match was going down. But as a one-off on a pay-per-view for someone like me,
yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if there was a storyline behind this.
So many, and just so many gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like the next 3 matches are gimmick matches, and they're just like they're not necessary. It's just an overkill.
The next match we have Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, off of manager duty. He's now a wrestler in his not so young age. He's a little bit older.
What was he? Was he like mid 30s or?
Yeah, he started like at 35, 34 years old when he started, and it took him a while to get up there. So he might be closer to 40 in this, to be honest.
Damn, man.
This is 96. How old is he now? You know?
Let's see.
I got you, Ryan. He was born.
He's 63.
Holy
so he
shit.
actually, he April 5th of that year, he would have turned 40. So he was 40 and some change.
Damn, so I was close. I said 39. I said he was 39. It's close.
Damn. Well, goddamn. Like, that's wild, eh? Like, I couldn't imagine being 40 and just starting off in the business like this, and going up against a guy like Jim Duggan, who was over 10 years earlier.
Dude, he's not that Paige isn't that over here. He's a heel.
Yeah.
He used to have the Diamond Dolls with him. He used to have the girls valet him I don't think he had any girls here.
No, he came out by himself, I'm for sure.
Mm-hmm. So there was a Lord of the Ring gimmick here. I think there was like a King of the Ring thing that they used to have, but you used to win a ring.
Yeah,
It was a tournament
he
style,
won
or
it.
like I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a tape fist match for the Lord of the Ring gimmick.
Okay, and what is a tape fist match? Because I see wrestlers with tape fists and I see wrestlers without tape fists. So, like Stone Cold versus Triple H would be one with no tape, one with tape. So I don't understand why this was I thought they were gonna dip their hands in something like an ECW. They used to wrap their like a Taipei death match. They'd wrap their hands in tape, dip it in glue, and then put glass and stuff all over it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what this was gonna be.
Oh, poor doggy.
Yeah, I think everyone's home. But yeah, so like I'm watching this match, I'm like, I don't understand why it's a tape. So what? How is a taped fist a gimmick? I don't understand why that's. It's just now
So,
if this was like bare knuckle boxing, like
mm-hmm.
what's going on now, like I can understand. Like if in wrestling everyone had tape on their hands and all of a sudden this match they didn't, I'd get it. But I just don't understand why the taped fist was such a
Yeah,
big deal. Like they didn't even the announcers they said it was a taped fist match, but
didn't explain it.
they didn't explain anything. They just said, "Oh, it's a taped fist match,"
Do you
and
want me to explain the professional wrestling match types? And it's
yeah,
okay. Here it goes. I read it, but I don't understand it. Many types of wrestling matches, sometimes called concept or gimmick matches in jargon of the business, are performed in types and rarely used. Wait, no, that's not the one I read. Was it? Yeah, there was. Yeah, they don't fucking describe it. They just move on to tag team matches, dude.
and that's it.
Yeah. So that was yeah. So let's
So
see.
like maybe like
Sorry.
both these guys went bare fist, and
Yeah,
today they
yeah,
had to tape so that they could punch harder.
yeah.
Like I don't get it. You could have
Yeah,
just said
there's no explanation. Look,
you could have
dude,
just
I
said
got right
just
now.
say this is a match for the Lord of the Ring. Just say that.
I was trying to explain it to you, but in their explanation, they explain what a gimmick is.
Like I have they all like I said, all they have to do is just say the next match is for the Lord of the Ring.
Like I know what a gimmick is, guys. I want to know, like, and this is clicking on the Tate Fist match and trying to get it. That's all it is. It doesn't give you the rules. It doesn't say what it is. All it is you have Tate Fist. It doesn't
That's
say
it.
why. It's so dumb. Like, all right, so I've boxed and I can tell you why we tape the fist. We tape the fist to make the wrist stronger because when you hit, your wrist can fucking when you hit really hard and you don't hit straight and you don't hit right and you hit off angle, you can fucking twist your wrist like you twist your ankle and you can fuck up your bones a lot more and you'll twist your shit, your joints. You tape your wrist so that doesn't happen because when you box, hey, you keep them straight. You want to keep this right here. You want to keep it steady. So you tape this and your wrist, and it's almost a casting of sorts to hit harder. This wasn't described, but I think that's what it is. Yeah. Connor.
Hi
Appearing back on the
everybody.
show.
Hi.
Hi. What's up, guys?
Oh God.
If you guys want to check out Ryan's cute kids,
Okay. Oh, don't pull that.
check
Don't
out
pull
the
that. That
YouTube.
means that. Watch your head. You go up too. There we go. Everybody wave. Wave hi.
Hi. Hi, guys. He's got some cute ass kids. Again, big.
What? Oh yeah, Rubble. Yeah. Rubble. Yeah, you have Rubble. You gonna go play with Rubble now with Mummy? Bye guys.
God damn it, Ryan! You got some cute kids.
Yeah, that there was the best part of the tape fist explanation.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, like that would make sense. Like if they were going to say that these guys want to throw down without getting hurt, that's cool. Like they don't want to break their wrist. They want to fight so bad that they don't want to hurt themselves.
A little history about that in boxing. There's been actual guys that have illegally used wrappings on their hands to make it harder so they can hit harder. Yeah, not Margarito, was it? Yeah, it was Margarito.
Yeah, and he got his ass kicked too after it was found out.
Yeah, after that,
in the ring.
He wasn't fucking up people. His punches didn't have the same pop.
There was one guy, and I'd have to look it up. I think it was back in the '80s. He was an up and coming guy, and I forget who it was. Someone will correct me, I'm sure. But he went into a match, and this guy had casted up both his hands and just fucking laid a beating on him. Just broke the guy's face, and the guy was never the same. He ended up this guy ended up dying at a young age because of like drugs and alcohol because he was just so fucked up from the beating he took from like the cement casings basically that were wrapped around his opponent's hands. It's such a big story, and I'm drawing such a blank on it, and I'm kicking myself for it. But yeah, I'm sure if you can find the story, it's a fascinating read.
Yeah. So I don't know the rules. Those are my explanations of history of Rap Fists. If you guys know, like any, I'm I'm the number one wrestling observer in the world, and I don't know. I can only give you the explanation of boxing, and I can't find the rules here. I don't know what this rule is. If you guys can give me an explanation, you guys can stump the number one wrestling observer in the world.
Well, and honestly, like I said, if this was like an ECW style, it was a Taipei match where they had to wrap their hands in tape and dip it in glue and put the weapons onto it, that would make sense. You're taping your fist so that you can put stuff on there to make your hands as super weapons, but it wasn't the case. This was just a regular match.
Yeah, and yeah, so we have like, I don't know, it's the biggest spot in the match is Diamond Dallas Page cutting Jim Duggan's wraps, and I don't know what really that does. I don't know how that prevents Jim Duggan from doing anything. Actually, before this, right away in the match, he's wrapping his boots around the ring post from the Happy 4th of July from the tape that Big Boss Man had left over. Diamond Dallas Page hits a diamond cutter off of the ropes. Like he uses the ropes, throws Jim Duggan off of him, catches a diamond cutter off of there, gets the 3 count. Jim Duggan gets the tape. This is after he loses. Wraps up his hand. I don't know why, and it's really dumb. He's wrapping up his knuckles. I'm guessing not to cut his knuckles. That's not the point of the tape.
It's such a confusing match. Like, just if they had just never, like I said, if they'd never mentioned a taped fist, this match would have been a perfectly fine, passable match.
Yes.
But they just put too much emphasis on this random gimmick.
Could have been a 3. I give it a 1.5.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna drop it that much because of that really non-explanation, shitty gimmick.
Well, and like you said, cutting the tape off of Duggan, and then Duggan wraps it around his knuckles only, and then it's like, I don't. It was none of the match really. Like the match itself was okay. It was a good match.
Was Duggan gonna win the Lord of the Ring moniker if he won?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's what they were saying too. It was so weird.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, this was like a belt in a way. Like, if you lose it, the other guy can win it, and he becomes Lord of the. But I don't even remember. I mean, this was the only time I've ever even heard of a Lord of the Ring gimmick match.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm telling you. Let me look it up real quick. Let's see. I have their Wikipedia. Let's see if it actually gives me a Lord of the Ring match, because I've never, or a Lord of the Ring tournament or something. I think it was like a battle royal. Third match, tape fist match. Nope, I don't need to know about that. Stock collar match.
If you look up Lord of the Ring, it takes you to Slamboree. So something had to happen, I guess, at a Slamboree where someone was crowned as Lord of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing. I don't really know.
Okay, I found the link to it on. Okay, Slamboree. Nope. Yeah, was this? Is this where Lord of the Ring was? Okay, I think I did. Yeah. So let's see. Slamboree was a professional wrestling pay-per-view from the world, held 93 to 2000. It was originally billed as a Legends reunion because of the many retired legends from Jim Crockett Promotions attended the pay-per-view and others scheduled for that weekend. Let's see. They don't... See, these guys are horrible at naming shit. I don't know what it was. The Lord of the Ring. Because it just leads me to Slamboree.
Yeah, and if you go to Slamboree 96, DDP's in a bunch of Lethal Lottery tag team matches, and then he's in a Battle Bowl to be the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title, but it never says anything about him actually winning a Lord of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I think it's the Battle Bowl that he won the... Let me read what a Battle Bowl is.
Jesus, this is... thank you, WCW.
Yeah, see, WCW did a horrible job. You need to fucking tell us what's going on in professional wrestling.
The Battle Bowl takes me to Battle Royales.
Yeah. Professional wrestling and Battle Royal, yeah. That's what it takes me to. I think it was just a Battle Royal for the Lord of the Ring. And he won because I think that's... I heard it mentioned in there, but I really didn't know what it was. Because they touched on it and they said that he had won a Battle Royal and he was Lord of the Ring, but it was but then they also mentioned that Jim Duggan could have been Lord of the Ring, but how can you be Lord of the Ring when you don't win the Battle Royal? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go to so Lord of the Ring tournament in 1996 for DDP actually has a list of sporadic tournaments that WCW did, and one of them was this one. So I don't know.
Was it the tournament or the Battle Royal? It's a tournament that led into the Battle Royal, isn't it? I think that's how they topped it. They're like, oh yeah, WWE or WWF.
The Slim Jim Challenge. Thank you.
Let me tell you
Thank you for that one, WCW.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, Ryan.
Yeah, so the
Lord of the Ring Challenge. Ooh, yeah.
So the Lord of the Ring tournament was a tournament from Slamboree 96 where teams were randomly selected through lottery, which every team that won their respective matches would win a spot at the Lord of the Ring Battle Royale later that night. So DDP and the Barbarian defeated their opponents, which put them into a Battle Royale at the end of the night that DDP won to become Lord of the Ring.
There you go, guys.
So it's a King of the Ring and a Royal Rumble in one night.
But they're going to keep mentioning it throughout DDP's career, and this is a Bash at the Beach in a singles match, and they're bringing that up. And I thought Jim Duggan could have won it in a Tate Fist match. It's really weird.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. Someone's popping off fireworks already.
See, no, I'm not going to make that joke. Since, being Chicago, is it fireworks or?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm staying in, and we're locking the doors, and we're not going out.
The purge going outside.
Yeah, we got big gates. As long as they're not aimed towards our house, we're good.
You're good. There you go.
All right, let's see. Shit match. Like I said, I'll give it a 1.5.
I give it a 1. It was just the gimmick killed it for me.
Yeah.
Like you said, 2.5 to 3 maybe, but the gimmick just destroys the whole thing because it took away. They focused so much on the gimmick without telling us what the gimmick was. So, sorry guys.
Next match, we have the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs. I think Brian Knobbs is one of Hogan's best friends. He used to be on Life of Hogan or Hogan Knows Best.
Oh, really?
Yes, he showed up on there. He took care of their dog or something one time, or he was watching Brooke. That perv, he was probably checking her out.
I was going to say, yeah, watching her, eh?
Yeah, watching her. Watching her, all right.
Here's something. As a quick thing, Bruce Pritchard has actually gone on record saying that the Nasty Boys. So the outfits you see them wearing in this pay-per-view, they originally wore in the AWA back in the early '80s, and they still wear them to this day during appearances. Not the same design, but like the same outfit. But
these guys living the name then. The Nasty
these guys have like taken like these guys are like wrestlers are stingy. They got to save up all the money that they can. These guys have had the same outfit.
What?
Richard. Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Stone Cold Steve Austin show. He used to mention how guys that had the longer trunks or like the whole body suits or the more ring attire were the smelliest ones because wrestlers were fucking assholes and they would try to go days without washing their gear, and they wouldn't buy multiple gear. They wouldn't wash their boots, so you'd have nasty boot or rot boot. He's like, some of these guys were nasty. He's like, and you had to call them out. He's like, me? He's like, I just had trunks or whatever. He's like, that really was just easy. He's like, but I made sure I washed my shit, even if I had to do it in the sink or something. He's like, I made sure after every time I wrestled, my shit was done.
I guess Vader was notorious for being the smelly bastard.
I bet he wouldn't care. He's fucking huge. You could just try to beat people up.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You think Yokozuna washed his trunks before dropping the buns they drop on people?
He better have, dude. Rikishi? You think Rikishi did?
Oh.
Before he stink-faced everybody?
Oh.
He better have bleached right before that. Yeah, so they're taking on Public Enemy, Rock and Johnny Grunge from made popular in ECW. I don't know why. Well, ECW was kind of weird. Some gimmicks got over that. Were kind of like the crowd gimmicks.
Yeah, these guys were actually
tag team.
These guys were never liked, I guess, outside of WCW, because I've heard when they were in WCW, they were like just treated like shit backstage, and then in WWF, in their like 1 month there's that infamous match where they were taking on the APA, and Farouk and Bradshaw just fucking beat the brakes off them for like a 7-10 minutes. Just
I got a little bit of story behind that, I've heard.
Oof. Yeah, there's.
So they came into the WWF and they had a match against the Acolyte Protection Agency, and the Acolytes, being the veterans there, told these guys, "Hey, this is the spot." And then right before the match, or during the match, I think it had to be right before the match. These guys try to change the spot up, and the AP is like, "What the fuck? Yeah, okay, whatever you say, guys." So they fucking they had the match, and the APA beat the shit out of Public Enemy. And a little bit after that, they were never back.
No.
But Bradshaw has a history of beating people up. Blue Meanie, he beat up for no reason. But yeah, no. I'm not a fan of Public Enemy. I like ECW. I like what they did in some aspects. This was not a gimmick that I really understood why how it got over. I guess they didn't have a lot of tag. Well, dude, they had the fucking Dudleys.
I was gonna say, these guys, like, even like their outfit, like that kind of like tie-dye-ish look, that was what the Dudleys were doing back in ECW. Mm-hmm. This kind of gave me like a cheap Dudleys knockoff. And I think when Bischoff was purging all the talent from ECW, like the Luchadors and Raven and guys like that, I feel like he saw like these guys as, you know, he couldn't get the Dudleys, but he can get the second best thing, and it just didn't work out because I feel like these guys had their niche in ECW where they could be like you could get away with so much shit in ECW and whatever, mm-hmm. But in a big organization, you try shit, you get held accountable. Like getting beat up with a fucking inflatable shark. Fucking teach a man a lesson.
Yeah. So we had some of that in this match. We had these guys living up the gimmick, like you said. They don't get new gear. They've had their gear forever. These fucking sickos. The Nasty Boys and Public Enemy kind of put on a good match. Public Enemy comes out with their usual gimmick of bringing out tables. They like using tables, and maybe that's why they were over. But that's what the Dudleys do. I wish Jeff were here so we could get his insight on Public Enemy. He knows more about them. He's an ECW guy, but
yeah,
that'll
he's too busy watching Spider-Man.
Yeah, he told me T-minus like an hour and a half a while ago, so he's watching it right
now.
Nice. They go out and fight in the sand, like you mentioned. They use some of the props out there. They use an inflatable shark. They use one of the, what do you call those? They're not buoys, are they? No, they're not. They're lifesavers.
Yeah.
Water.
Like a water ring kind of thing.
Yeah. They're attacking each other like that. They're fighting in the sand. So the gimmick of this is a dog collar match. Sorry, we didn't mention that. It's pretty self-explanatory. They're they have dog collars on and they're chained together.
It would have been better if all four were chained together as opposed to just like pairing them off.
They
But I
were,
get,
yeah,
but
they
you
were
but then your hands are really tied. You can't really
rivals.
explore.
Not to, it would have been interesting if they would have done tag teams tied together against tag teams tied together. But they did rival tag teams against each other. So it was them and it was Public Enemy tied together to a Nasty Boy.
And I thought they were gonna have to like touch the turnbuckles. I thought it was like strap matches where you got to touch the turnbuckle to win it all. But yeah, they were just it was just a chain. And this was just a shit show. And there were some really interesting moves, and there were some things that I thought were gonna happen that didn't. And I was kind of like when was it, I don't know if Johnny Grunge or Rocco Rock climbs up on the lifeguard's chair, and you see I think it was Sags. You see him and you're thinking like, okay, he'll grab the chain and pull him down. Nope, does a flip, lands on him. Yeah. Then he climbs up a second time. You're like, okay, now he's gonna pull it down.
I was telling you,
nope,
pretty hardcore,
nope. Now he does it, but then he does the second. I'm like, okay, wow, they're actually not gonna do like the expected pull him off the rope with the chain.
You know what? I take it back. I know why people like him. These guys are kind of hardcore, man. They kind of did their thing. As corny as they were and as corny as they looked, they wrestled.
But here's the best part. When they finally actually do the whole guy on the top rope, yank him by the chain, the table doesn't break that he was supposed to go through. Yeah. and he took a bump and a half. Like, he looked like he was in some pain after that one. Like, that was the toughest table ever, right?
They need to gimmick up these tables a little bit better.
That table, a man off the top rope bounces off it. Then they lay him on top of the table, jump off the top rope, land on him. The table still doesn't break. Oh, like that table was the highlight of this entire match.
Yeah. I'd rate this one higher than the earlier match just because the gimmick of this one kind of makes sense. And you kind of know what they're talking about right off the bat. There's no explanation needed, really. Once you see it, you know what's going on. The Take Fist match.
You know, that's the thing. At least with this match, you know that it's anything goes and that you're chained to another competitor and that the other two guys are going to have to be on the lookout for what's happening to make a save if necessary. So you know that these guys are going to be doing big spots on their own, but also they're going to have to be close together to make a save or to do tag moves.
Yeah. The Nasty Boys pick up the victory. I forget exactly how.
Oh, they had the one guy was hanging.
Yeah, he was one of the
Public Enemies.
Yeah, that looked pretty cool.
And then the chain broke, which was pretty funny. And then they clotheslined the other guy, and then Knobs dropped the or Sag, whichever one of Sags, and dropped a fist with the chain wrapped around.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna mention those chain shots look pretty harsh.
Yeah, the only thing that I like. There were some moves where they were moving the chain around and it was making no noise of that metal would make. I'm like, spray painted plastic.
Yep.
I mean, I was like,
what, Ryan?
It's like, oh man,
God, you're giving up the secrets, bro.
It looked really cool, but then there were some points where it was like such a tell. It's like, like should have just done like a strap, not the chain. But
are you telling me this isn't Metal Mario?
Yeah.
Are you telling me I didn't go to McDonald's twice and got 2 Happy Meals and spray painted a regular Mario into a metal Mario? Tell me this isn't metal, bro? Come weigh it. Come feel it for yourself. It's real.
Oh, man.
I got some Mario stuff.
It's just like, like Junkyard Dog. At least when Junkyard Dog would drop his chain, it would make the metal noises at least. Like, give me something, WCW. Yeah. But
like I'd probably rate this one higher than the other one. I'll give it a 2.
I was gonna say 2 to 2.5, just because, like you said, like at least you knew what you were getting going into it. I got it like Bobby the Brain Heenan. I think it was Heenan. It could have been Shivani. After Knobs is beating the one Public Enemy with the inflatable shark, and then like 2 seconds later, the guy grabs a chair and smashes him, and he goes, "I'll do more damage than some pool toy." It's like at least they made
Yeah, at
they
least they
made a
acknowledged it.
note of it. It's like, what is he doing? Like, yeah, like you have chairs and surfboards, and you're grabbing a pool toy.
Ryan, sorry, I'm gonna do this. Baby shark, doo 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 doo.
Oh, don't worry, that song's been in and out of my brain so many times.
Yeah, that plays over and over, doesn't it?
Oh fuck!
It's dude, it's catchy. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what the Koreans did to develop that song, or the Vietnamese, I forget what, but they did something. And
They're matching some kind of frequency, like the brown noise in South Park.
oh, okay, that's why every time that song comes on, I shit myself.
Yeah, probably. Out of rage.
I want to hear Baby Shark. I'm going to the bathroom.
Right off the beginning.
Just hear the words. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Like Cartman too. Remember there was a song that he had that once he started hearing, he had to hear the ending, or else he was like, and then he would fucking sing it.
Oh yes.
Forgot exactly what song it was, but he would have to finish it on his own. Yeah. So the Nasty Boys win. I don't know why we didn't get a tag team championship match. There was one on the undercard, the Steiner Brothers taking on Harlem Heat in a 5-minute match. That would have been an awesome match to check out, but.
Well, then
Someone got a disqualification.
If you put Harlem Heat and Steiner Brothers, two no-name teams, on that pay-per-view, what do you do with that Carson City coin on a pole match? Like that,
bro. We need.
Now
you're right.
Now that 9-minute match now is only going to be 4.5 to 4.5 minutes. Like,
oh, and we need Steve McMichael, ex-Bear. I should be a fan of that guy. I don't like that guy. I've never liked that guy. We'll get into him right now, but we needed more of him on the pay-per-view. Wink, wink. For people that don't understand sarcasm, we needed more Steve McMichael.
Who are they? Joe Gomez or Mike Gomez, whatever that guy's name is that he fought. That
who?
Never heard of this guy in my life except for this one match.
Yeah, I know who he is because of this match. Let's see. Let's see if I can see his matches. Nope, they don't have any of his matches. ASW Tag Team Championship one time with Tatanka. That was because of Tatanka. And then in Championship Wrestling from Florida, CWF, he was the NWA Florida Tag Team Champion with Mike Graham. Because of Mike Graham, he was IWF Tri-State Championship 8 times. Yeah, that's as far as he got. So WCW, this is probably still his highest point, even though he didn't do anything. Having a match versus
He's
Steve
there for
McMahon.
3 years though. At the end, good for him.
Let's see. That wasn't even the match we were on, but okay. Sorry, Joe Gomez. I didn't mean to go into your history so bad right away, even when we weren't talking about your match yet. But we'll get to it.
We'll shit on it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get to it right now. We'll shit on it right now. Let's see. Next match after that was Dean Malenko taking on the very sexy Disco Inferno, coming in dancing. Disco dancing, disco dancing, yeah, yeah, yeah. Disco dancing, disco dancing, disco dancing, yeah. Disco Inferno has always been one of my favorites because of the gimmick. He was able to get it over.
And as I've mentioned in the past, after the gimmick of him as like the dancer and like him and Alex Reyes as the dancing fools, after that all that went away, when he became a manager for the Mamalukes, it even took him to another level. Like he was like,
you mean this Alex, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Dancing Fools, bro.
That's
I'm
awesome.
a fan. That's some knowledge that me and Jesus reference these guys all the time because they were hilarious. They were gimmicks they were able to get over, but they were ridiculous gimmicks. Disco Inferno, a disco dancer. You come out, disco dancing.
They had like the what do you call it? The ball, disco ball coming down into the middle of the ring. Just classic, man.
Yeah, I loved it. I was all for it. I never wanted him to join the NWO, but he joined the NWO, I guess.
That's right. He wanted to be in there so bad for a while too, didn't he? And then he just the Jarrett NWO, and he just was able to get in. Or
yeah, this was a pretty good sold match though on Disco Inferno's part. He got his ass beat by the man of 1,000 holds. Dean Malenko comes off.
We saw
with,
like 950 of them in this match.
yeah. Dean Malenko starts off fast and strong, man. He's beating the fuck out of Disco. Getting every submission under the fucking sun locked into Disco. Disco selling every single one of them, not submitting. We have the most basic from a headlock to some arm scissors to like some weird twists.
Some leg locks and STFs. Dean Malenko, man, he's such an underrated performer from this era. He does not get the respect he deserves. Like, I mean, it's been said by a lot of cruiserweight wrestlers that once the NWO really took hold, it was impossible for those undercard guys to get over. And I believe it. I mean, Dean Malenko's biggest thing was, I guess, being the Four Horsemen for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, he just does, like, he was so good, so technical. Like,
I think he still works with WWE, if I'm not mistaken.
He just quit about a month and a half ago.
I think you're right, actually.
And he went to AEW.
Okay. He'll probably be used right there.
Yeah.
He was probably, if he was creative, his ideas were probably not getting used at all, and he's like, fuck this. Or he was probably in a position he didn't want to be.
Yeah. But, I mean, he was still there for 19, 20 years because he jumped like in 99. So he put in a solid amount of time in WWE. And a lot of it was all backstage because he only wrestled there for a year maybe before he retired in ring.
Yeah. Like we said, Malenko controls 75% of this match with his holds. He does do some leg drops off of like a second rope. Nothing too crazy. Something that a cruiserweight should be having in his repertoire, even though he is a super submission, man of 1,000 holds guy. Land some leg drops.
Why?
I don't know if we mentioned this is for the Cruiserweight Championship. Something that the WWE would later introduce into there, but it would make a mockery of the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually, Disco had a good promo too when he came out and he's after the Disco Inferno wins this title, you're all invited to my dance party.
yeah.
I feel like Disco Stu is out there just waiting to join in.
After getting his ass beat for about 9 minutes out of the 12 that they had a match for, Disco hits like a headbutt when he's on his knees because that's his only last ditch effort. Corners Dean Malenko with elbows, and Dean Malenko is from here on out trying to regain his offense, but we have Disco Inferno either reversing or getting his offense off. Dean Malenko trying to lock in more of his submission game. Disco Inferno's not having it. We have Dean Malenko do his throwaway powerbomb into his Texas Cloverleaf.
Yeah.
It's his finishing slam into the submission move, and that's how we get to the finish of Disco Inferno submitting. It's got to be the throwaway powerbomb. I don't know what they call it because he didn't sit out.
It wasn't sit down.
Yeah, if he didn't sit down with it, he picks him up going for the powerbomb and just lets him drop like all in one motion. It's pretty gnarly, and he grabs the leg.
Yeah,
the Texas Cloverleaf.
Double underhook powerbomb.
Okay.
And so the hooks it up, drops him, and then grabs the Cloverleaf.
Let's see. What would I give this match? I'd probably rate it a 3 just on selling, move variety. It's pretty hard when you have Rey Mysterio and Psychosis match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to compete up there.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's a 2.5 to 3. It was a really good match in the technical side. Like, I feel like if you want to be a professional wrestler and you're 14, 15 years old and you go to your gym for the first time, that's what you're Disco Inferno. What you do, you put on whatever you put on, you get in there, and the main instructor is just going to show you hold after hold after hold, kind of like I feel like this was kind of like, so you want to be a wrestler, this is what you can expect on day one. And it was a good story because it did get Disco a lot of fanfare because people are like, oh shit, this guy's like, he's getting out of things, he's resilient, he fought back a little bit, and like even though like he was here and Malenko's up here, like he still put out a good effort in that match by not quitting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely have to have your bases checked out in the selling department, in the learning how to take moves, not only trying to give your offense. You see Dean Malenko offense, but he's the veteran. We have Disco Inferno being humble, taking the moves from Dean Malenko and selling them perfectly, and allowing him to lock them in fluidly. We have like Dean Malenko will have him going for a leg drop, and we have Disco selling it trying to come up but Dean Malenko goes for the pin, gets the 2 count. We got shit like that. The simplistics, the basics, the selling. And that's what Disco Inferno did very well. That's why he had such a long career with WCW. He probably just gave up with he knew that gimmick was his best gimmick, and it was never going to get past a intercontinental spot at the most.
Yeah.
If he ever was to continue with WWE, that's the most he would have ever gotten. Sorry. He was incredible for what he did, especially getting over that gimmick, selling. He was awesome, and he was even able to get some of his offense off in this match. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I always love when you get to see a match where a guy can show you his bread and butter. There's a WrestleMania 18, I think it is, with Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. When you see those guys and they do a lot of groundwork at the beginning of their match, and you see these guys, their bread and butter, and you see how good they're not just punches and kicks and big holds. It's the technique. It's all encompassing, and it gives you a bigger respect for what these guys do when you see what they can do and how.
Fuck.
That was I heard that one loud and clear.
Scared the shit out of me. Look like a bitch on camera, whatever. There's fucking dynamite going off outside. I don't get the point of that. I was like, I hear a big noise. It's like, look, I understand the visual ones. I don't understand the ones that sound like guns. You're not shooting a gun.
Well, you see, you haven't had 13, 14 beers in you and just lighting things on fire. That's
yeah. Well, maybe I should get to that.
Yeah.
Let me get some 15 beers and Austin them.
There you go.
Double fist. Next match. I don't know if you got anything else on this match, Ryan.
No. I enjoyed it. That was a good match.
Yeah. Next match. I don't have too much on it just because I don't like Steve McMichael. The only reason he's there is because of Queen Deborah, and for some reason he joined the Four Horsemen. Well, it's because he was an ex-Bear, all right? I know exactly why.
Yeah.
I like the Bears. The Bears are my team. If I root for a football team 100%, I'm rooting for the Bears. That I'm not a traitor. I don't follow individuals. I follow the Bears. I do not play fantasy football. For me, that's when I lost interest in football. Not my fault. Everyone else became an asshole and thinks they own a franchise.
Oh, yeah.
You don't. So suck my cock and go back to following your team, all right? And if you move to somewhere else, or you're from a fucking somewhere that doesn't have a team, Ryan, pick a team and stick to it.
Go Pack, baby.
Yeah, see, you got the Packers. I'm a Bears fan. Not so much anymore because I don't talk sports with it. Once I started doing this podcast, it became WWE and UFC focused or MMA focused.
Right.
I had to stop everything else, and then people made it easy by doing the whole fantasy thing. Now, last year I started watching the Bears just to watch them for myself. I'm not doing the whole keeping up with teams. That's not me.
Right.
If you want to talk about the Bears with me, or who they have to face, all right, good. But maybe I'll watch more this year, which season's coming up soon. So, Steve McMichael, ex-Bear, with Queen Deborah taking on Joe Gomez. We already shit on Joe Gomez. I don't know if you want to shit on him a little bit more.
I feel bad for him because he was kind of good in this match, but Steve McMichael is so bad, so green. So much of this match, there were so many spots where Kevin Green, got my own football player, Steve McMichael just botched things. He just, go for a slam, but he missed it. Yeah, he just
Well, not young. He's super.
he's green in the business.
Exactly.
Like
That's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Ryan.
yeah, he just I don't know. Like it was a filler match. I get it. I get the storyline behind it. You know, Gomez and the Four Horsemen had their little angle, I guess, at the time. But yeah, it didn't do anything for me. It was missing a lot. There's really not much to say about this match.
This color commentator from 95 to 96. Four Horsemen 96 to 97. How long he was in TNA? I guess in 2008 was the last time.
Jeez.
Oh, he returned to professional wrestling for Total Nonstop flagship pay-per-view Bound for Glory, where he refereed. Okay, he Monsters Ball match. Yeah. I don't know how much success he had outside of WCW.
Who?
Steve McMichael, the ex-Bear.
I don't think he had much.
No.
I mean, I think he actually he has a Super Bowl ring. I think because he was sitting on the bench for the whole season. I don't think he was a play. Like, I think he was like a sporadic player who just happened. He was at WrestleMania. Might have been in '96 when Bam Bam Bigelow fought Lawrence Taylor. He was one of the guys in Lawrence Taylor's corner, if I remember correctly. But aside from that, like that's how I know him for. Outside of his WCW run was being an iffy football player and possibly being at WrestleMania.
I don't know.
That's
like I said, I wasn't a Steve McMichael fan just because he was a Bear. I actually didn't like him. So
he's one of those guys that was put into the Four Horsemen, and you're like,
why?
I guess. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. And then next match, Ric Flair. I didn't rate the last. I'll give it a 1.
Yeah, it's a 1.
Yeah. Ric Flair with Miss Elizabeth and woman taking on Konnan. This is good Konnan still. And by that, I mean he's still wrestling. He's
not a thug yet.
Yeah, he's still athletic. And he could put on a very good match. We didn't see a lot of that later on. Just because he didn't wrestle as much. And he was like a thug gimmick, like you said. So he was more of a heel wrestler.
Did he ever have a neck injury or something that caused him to change? Because I
think so.
I kind of remember him in WWF as Max Moon. He came out as like this. He came out as like that futuristic kind of, and he actually this outfit that he wore kind of had like tie-ins to that, like some of like the coloring I noticed. But yeah, I remember him from the NWO and the Wolfpack days. He was much more like a ground wrestler. He didn't take to the air as much as I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
But
you guys have birds?
Outside we do.
Oh, okay. I thought you...
Not my birds. Nature's birds.
Nature's birds. I thought you guys had birds.
Nah.
This was another match of great selling. Ric Flair doing a lot of taking of slams, some high flying moves, not a lot, but Konnan shows off his athleticism from time to time. I don't remember exactly what move it was off the top rope that he did on Flair, and sold greatly by Flair. Flair, that's why he's always been such a great wrestler, even to at this point in his career. I don't know exactly how old he is. 50s.
Yeah, it's got to be
50s for sure. Take some great bumps from Konnan. Woman the whole time outside yelling crazily.
Yeah, she was going off during this match.
Yeah, the whole time. I guess that's her gimmick. I didn't understand it. I don't remember it. And like now it's like, okay, I get it kind of, but I don't like it. I don't like how it's just women. They should have given her a name.
A natural name.
Oh, yeah, but that's from like I guess the Dungeon of Doom maybe.
Yeah, because that was her gimmick with Benoit, with the Taskmaster, with
we
Flair.
actually see her a lot during this pay-per-view. We see her in the next match. We saw her. Oh, we see her here. Where else did we see her?
There was the promo that Flair cut earlier in the night. That she was she was everywhere.
Her presence is just.
She was all
big.
over Mean Gene.
Yeah.
And like Flair's like egging him on, like you suffer with us in the hotel room, you and woman. Me and Jane's like, ah.
Mm. Yeah, so Flair does a lot of good selling. A lot of begging, a lot of heel shit.
He told a great story. And it's like he did everything that he had to take Konnan up a level from where he was to being a noticeable star. He was a champion that like I don't think a lot of people really knew, and he walked away losing the match. And I think more people knew him and had more respect for him because Flair sold for him so well.
Yeah, Flair's incredible at that. Like I said, women's presence is fucking heavy in this match, and we actually see her get involved in this. Flair distracts the referee towards the end of the match. Uh, Woman comes in, low blows. She sells it very well on the giving of it, and the taking of it by Konnan is incredible as well. It's very believable. It might have even been real. She low blows him. This is where Flair starts trying to get his offense in. Oh, sorry, I skipped part of it. Konnan actually he's beating up Flair so bad that he actually gets a point to lock in Flair's figure four.
Oh, the figure four, yeah.
At one point, which is incredible.
No, I found it weird too when Flair reached for the rope and he grabbed it, and the referee walks over and kicks his hand off the rope.
Yeah.
Then Flair's like looks at him, like grabs the rope again. He's like, okay, fine, break the hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back to the nut shot by Woman. Konnan tries to recover, but he's on the outside, and Miss Elizabeth distracts the referee at this point, and I forget what she does to Konnan's eyes, or she's smacking Konnan in the eyes.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember the finish. I had it in my head.
Flair
defeats Konnan because of Miss Elizabeth's distraction.
Oh no. Flair tells Elizabeth to get onto the apron, and when he does, he points to the referee and says, "Hey, look, she's on the apron." Like he rats out his own valet, and then when the referee's doing that, he takes the shoe from Woman.
Oh,
and clocks Konnan for the pin. And he did the top rope with the feet for the leverage pin kind of thing.
Yeah. Konnan, earlier in the match, I skipped over this. He jumps at Flair from the apron, hits Flair, and Miss Elizabeth gets knocked over as well. She takes a bump. Not too heavy a bump.
She got up right away.
Yeah. She's down to take a bump though. Miss Elizabeth. Ric Flair picks up the United States Championship. 15-minute match of him selling again. 75% of Flair selling, and then the last 25% is Flair getting his offense through heel shit and Woman interfering with nut shots and attacking Konnan on the outside through distractions as well.
Yeah, it was a good mixture of like old school heel, like the low blow, the eye gouging, the cheating with the valets, Woman biting Konnan on the outside of the ring. Like there was a lot of like old school heel stuff that you don't see a lot of nowadays. That was really utilized well in this match to help Konnan get over, as like he's persevering through all the dirty tactics, and it allows Flair to maintain his dirtiest player in the game moniker.
Yeah. I'd probably give this match a 3 as well.
I go 3.5. I think that Flair told a great story in there with Konnan. He sold great, and Konnan got over really big, I think, in this match.
Agreed. Let's see.
Oh, good night.
Kids.
Love you. Hey.
Go ahead on YouTube and check out Ryan's Kids.
Her white heels? These ones?
White heels, like the ones they use from Woman to hit Konnan
yeah,
with on the head.
This here is what Woman knocked out Konnan with on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Good night, honey bear. I love you.
Good night, Daddy.
All right.
That works out, bro. We segued.
Perfect. Look at that.
The shoes. It was even the same match. We didn't even have to go back.
It was so great. It was all planned.
Yeah.
Woman runs in, gets the shoes, and runs
out. Next match after this was a weird match. There was some gimmick behind this. I don't know the real story behind this. It's the Giant and the Taskmaster taking on Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit. I don't know if at this point Chris Benoit had taken Woman from the Dungeon of Doom, which was Taskmaster's valet.
Yeah, I think this point he was all. I think he joins the Four Horsemen to get help in his feud with the Dungeon of Doom.
Okay.
I think that's what the story was.
And Woman is just Flair's valet.
Yeah, like she was. I think like she was involved with Benoit. Like people, I think, knew that Benoit had taken her away from Taskmaster, and then she became part of the Four Horsemen as the valet and all that stuff, along with Deborah and Elizabeth and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a kind of a weird like Kevin Sullivan. He was terrible in this match.
Yeah, he got his ass beat a lot, but he did a lot of nothing horrible.
When he was selling I don't know if he was selling a move or if he was trying to give a move, but he didn't look safe in there. Like I don't know.
Was this a little bit too real? By Benoit? Was this a real fight because of
yeah, Woman? Who knows, man? They sold it well at the end. When Benoit brings him back to the ring and just starts laying the boots to him.
Yeah.
And with the chair. But I don't know, like Sullivan overall in this match, I feel like it would have been I think it could have been cooler if Taskmaster was managing and it was a 2-on-1. The Giant versus Arn Anderson and Benoit. I think they could have got more out of the match in that way. And you could still have your ending where Benoit gets his hands on the Taskmaster. Like, at the end of the match, like, whatever happens. Maybe the Giant's incapacitated outside the ring or something, and he gets back in and then clears house or whatever. But I don't know, like, Arn Anderson and Benoit basically just, like, kicked his ass for the whole match, and then until a tag was made, and then Benoit and Taskmaster went up. In your video games, when you pick up a staggered opponent, you kind of like drag him for like 3 seconds, and then you have to like go, and the guy wakes up. Mm-hmm. Fucking Benoit took him out of the ring, through the entryway, through the beach, up some stairs to the announce table, and then before Kevin Sullivan's like, what's happening? Like, it was so bad.
So the reason they were beating up Taskmaster is they steal a briefcase from Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart is their valet. I think Jimmy Hart had it because I didn't see. Was it the belt? They said a briefcase. I thought it was the belt. The announcer said briefcase. I thought it was. So the Giant is WCW champion. I thought it was the championship stolen by one of the Four Horsemen, Steve McMichael. It was.
He had the belt at this pay-per-view because in the backstage interview, the Giant definitely had the belt.
Mm-hmm. I'm going with the belt. They said briefcase, but the Giant takes off and chases. I forgot exactly who it was from the Four Horsemen. Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit come out. They start fighting on the outside, and they start beating the shit out of Taskmaster. And this is why Taskmaster's getting his ass beat. Eventually, the Giant comes back out. Jimmy Hart as well is on the outside. That's the only reason. I don't understand this match. It was just Taskmaster getting his ass beat. I understand why the Giant was taken out of it. The Giant comes back in, and that's the end-all, be-all of the match because, it's the Giant. He is a WCW champion. He is a powerhouse. But Taskmaster, in a previous promo, they asked the Giant in a horrible promo cut by the Giant.
That was so bad.
Yeah, if the Taskmaster was a weak link in the Dungeon of Doom, and the Giant answers back in a horrible promo.
Yeah.
It's just
Sullivan's sitting there just like, yes, mm-hmm. praise me, like, I mean, oh fuck, that was terrible.
It's corny.
The only thing I took out of that promo was that Paul White has the exact same eyebrows that Kevin Sullivan paints on his face. That's about all that. Like that. Yeah, that was a even Arn Anderson and Benoit's promo when they were at the entryway, and Arn Anderson's like, now listen, there's 3 guys back there. And we might be out here later to fight the Giant, but we are WCW, and we will take. And it's like, oh Jesus, Arn, stop talking. Like, let Flair do the talking for the 4 Horsemen from here on out.
Sorry, I'm jamming over here.
It's all good.
Jamming, and I hope you like jamming too. Yeah, so eventually the Giant takes over. A woman comes and takes Chris Benoit. She wants him to stop beating up Taskmaster, is what I get from it.
Yeah, she's saying stop, you're gonna hurt him and whatnot.
Yeah. So the Giant is left with Taskmaster to take on Arn Anderson. I think Arn Anderson leaves too, so is it like a count out? I don't remember if anyone got pinned. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it was a choke slam victory while the Taskmaster and Benoit were on the announce thing.
Oh, okay, that's why I don't remember. There was a lot going on. They had a split screen.
Yeah, Arn Anderson took a choke slam and got pinned, and then
the beating on Taskmaster continued.
Because Jimmy Hart left with Giant, and then Benoit drags Taskmaster back to the ring, and the announcer's like, they don't even know that the match is over.
Yeah.
And then Benoit grabs the chair and starts beating him. Like, yeah, he knows it's over.
And that's when Woman comes.
Yeah, and then the Giant comes out, and Benoit gets out, and Anderson sneaks out.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know what I would grade this match. 2?
Yeah,
1.5.
I'd say it's a 2. Yeah. The Taskmaster's selling was just so bad. Like, he had some missed spots that really hurt the match also. Like, the match was bad enough as it is with the Giant running off, and I think if they'd done a handicap match the opposite way, have the Giant in there, and you can actually like hurt him a little bit and have him have to fight back, and then do what you got to do to get the 3 count. But yeah, it's a solid 1.5 to 2 stars. I wouldn't give it much more than that. 2.5 is really pushing it.
Yeah. Then we have the high spot of the pay-per-view, the most historic moment in WCW history.
Before you start, though, let's be honest. That video package that they put, that 2.5 minute, like, the graphics were for like 1991, telling the entire story with no commentary, just music of Scott Hall coming in and Kevin Nash. It was so terrible and so long. It was like 2.5 minutes of bad 90s promos.
Yeah.
Like, how long is this going to last for, guys? Like,
it's pretty bad. Bad. I'll agree with you there. Point Ryan. Let's see. So we have the Outsiders come out. They've been asked throughout the show who their third member is. They're like, don't worry, we have our third member. He's in the building. Everyone that's been in the building is in the building. They have cops, so no one gets let in, and no one knows who it is. They even get asked before the match. They don't say who it is, and then the match starts, and it's a 3-on-2 as far as everyone knows. But right away, Lex gets thrown on the apron very early on. Nash holds him by his neck area, by the turnbuckle on the exposed steel, and Sting hits a Stinger splash onto Nash, injuring Lex Luger. They come out, they do the whole spiel of taking him out on
the stretcher.
On the stretcher, so it becomes a 2-on-2.
And even Scott Hall gets some shots in there after they get him on the stretcher, and he's all tied up, and Scott Hall comes in and gets a couple blows. Just perfect old school heel.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, like, if you want to sell someone being injured, like Sting, the second he goes out to check on Lex Luger, if someone's unconscious on outside, the last thing you really want to do is grab their face and move it back and forth to see if they're okay. Like, this guy, if he's supposed to be selling that he has like a head and neck injury, he should be shaking his head. Maybe just like rub his chest, like, hey man, you good? Like, okay.
Ooh, and I think I speak for Ryan when I tell you that the unknown gives me goosebumps. That the unknown makes me a little uneasy. And I like the unknown. They cut a. It's pretty bad promo. It's corny. That's the only reason it's bad, but it's Sting. It's the corny Sting with the face paint.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, yeah, tell him. Ooh, yeah, tell him, Stinger, what the point is, yeah.
And even I think Macho even had I could be wrong. I feel like he made a comment about the face paint. He was like, "Oh, I like this color," or something like that. He's like,
so they all have different variations of face paint because at that time Sting had different variations according to his ring gear. So he's got green and black, and he's got like a weird tie dye or not a tie, like a rainbow scorpion, and he's got green face paint. Macho's got pink and yellow, like his shorts used to be, and he's got pink and yellow face paint. And then Lex had black and white trunks, so he had black and white face paint. Lex isn't in play right now; he gets injured.
Black and white. Could Lex be the third member?
What?
Ooh.
No, at this point they were the outsiders, so we had Nash and Hall wearing red and black. No, the white and black wasn't introduced yet. We have, after this point, we have kind of an even exchange of Sting getting the upper hand and beating up Hall, and Savage getting some offense in. Eventually, Sting gets called back in on the beating with Hall. Hall takes a beating for a little bit, gets the tag with Nash. If you've seen any of Nash's matches, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
He gets the upper hand because he's the bigger guy, because Hall got the tag. So Nash gets his offense in of knees to the stomach, elbows in the corner, stretching them out, big booting people. He's got like 5 moves of death that eventually lead to his jackknife powerbomb.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so people always let him put him in these moves, in these 5 moves. He can get more offense off. I've seen him do it. He just doesn't do it here. He's so tenured. WCW is going to let him run the matches that he wants to, and they're going to work with him. They're cutting a lot of heel stuff. They're pulling a lot of heel stuff. Nash and Hall. When Nash is stretching people out, Hall's pulling at his arm, giving him leverage.
Yeah, I get the extra leverage.
Yeah, so like I said, they're getting their offense back and forth. Let's see.
There was one point, and I missed it, but the Macho got hurt, and he was sitting on the outside, and they're like, "Oh, it's down to Sting," and Sting. Like, I guess I didn't see what had happened, but Macho had taken a neck injury, and he couldn't stand, and that was when Sting started getting the beat down from Hall and then from Nash back and forth.
It wasn't the same Stinger splash to the corner, was it?
No, it was a different one, I think.
Yeah, because that gimmick was used. They can't be recycling gimmick. Yeah, but Sting being the guy that was getting more of his offense off, I guess that was smart, selling that the next guy off would be Macho Man in order for it to be a 2-on-1, which would lead to the final sequence of the match.
And they told a really good story on the commentary about this, because when Hogan comes down, like, obviously you think he's gonna be WCW, but they had made the announcement after Luger left that can anyone backstage join it? If it's a 3-on-3 match, can anyone from WCW come in and join in? And they said, well, why not? It's WCW versus the Outsiders. So they said, like, if someone from WCW comes out to help out, why can't he be in the match? So it kind of leads into when Hogan comes out, you're like, okay, well, Hogan's coming to help out WCW.
Mm-hmm. It sells it beautifully.
Yep.
Because the guy that, let's talk
Bobby
a little bit more about
it.
Yeah, so Bobby the Brain Heenan is like, he's like, I don't know what side I'm on. I want to know who they got. And they're like, what the hell? I thought you were on WCW side.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I am, but I kind of want to see where. He's like, I want to see where this is going. I want to see where
Yeah.
this is going.
And then when Hogan comes out, and they're like, "Whose side is he on? Is he the third member?" And you can kind of hear Shivani be like, well, what? No, he's one of us. Like, what are you doing, Bobby? Shut up! Like, don't say that. Like, I can just imagine Eric Bischoff's head in the back, just like.
So we have like I said, great back and forth between both of them. We have. Eventually, they start working on Sting, and they exclude Savage from the tag. They're building up the tag. He's on the outside, trying to build up Sting. Sting's taking the offense from Nash. Like I said, if you've seen that, and he just does his 5 moves of death. Sting kicks out from a bunch of attempts. The power bomb isn't done on him. Scott Hall even gets some offense in after getting his ass beat in the beginning of the match. And Savage eventually gets the tag, starts executing his offense on these two guys, goes to the top rope, starts landing his, not the elbow drop, but atomic elbows off the top rope. And he's getting his offense off, and he knocks Hall into the corner, and he's getting Nash off of his knees, and he's calling for his lead up to the elbow off the top rope. He's gonna do his, I forget exactly what his move is that leads into the elbow drop. And Hall grabs the ref and pulls him into the corner, and this allows Nash to nut shot
Savage.
Sorry, it's the weed, man. It's recreational now. He lands the nut shot on Savage. And it's like, what the hell? And the ref is kind of fucked up too, I guess, from getting pulled in by Hall. And we see Hogan, and we see the crowd reaction. And the selling by the outsiders is great too, because they sell that, oh shit, it's a third WCW guy joining the team to help the WCW guys because we injured Lex Luger, like you had mentioned earlier. And even the announcers are like, oh my God, it's Hogan. He's coming to help out. Yeah, go get him. And then Bobby the Brain Heenan famously says, but whose side is he on? And then Shivani's like, what do you mean, whose side is he on? Dude, I'm telling you, go back and watch this moment. It's a historic moment in WCW history. Hogan comes in, the outsiders disperse because Hogan's ascending to the ring. Hogan goes, and it looks like he's protecting Savage. Even the ref thinks he's protecting Savage. And then Hogan goes into the ring, lands the leg drop, and the ref even says it like, hey, what the hell are you doing? I thought you were a WCW guy. Hogan throws him out of the ring. I don't know if this happened before, but I know it happened. It had to happen after because because he had to have been like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Because he sold that too.
Because he hits the second leg drop, and then he goes for the pinfall.
Yeah, and this is he goes for does he hit 3? No, I think you're right.
No, he I think the second one he throws the referee out, and then he hits the third one because the outsider's like, do it again, and then he pins him, and Scott Hall counts to 3.
Yeah. They almost don't sell it well enough because Hall then focuses on Sting because Sting's there, and they're like, we need to get Sting out of here. And then he was gonna hit the leg drop on Sting, but they're like, no, it's on Macho. Like they knew who it was gonna be on. Like they had planned it out beforehand. That was the only kind of slip up really I saw. Or, you know what? Actually, earlier in the match, I need to call it out. As much as I love the outsiders, there was a spot that they did kind of did shitty. Nash went for an elbow drop, and Macho Man was supposed to get out of the way and go tag Sting, but he halfway gets out of the way, and Nash lands on his head, and it looks kind of dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Macho Man still goes for the tag, even though he got clunked in the head by Nash's back. I'm going to call him like I see him. I got to go both ways. You know, I can't just call the good spots with these guys, even though I love the outsiders.
Yeah.
Even though I'm an outsider with me and Jesus. Shout out to my co-host, Jesus. We have the creation of the NWO, guys.
And one of the greatest promos ever cut when Mean Gene goes in the ring afterwards. And he's like, I've known you, we go back all those years, and how could you align yourself with these these two men, these two despicable men, and like just they sold the story so well at this point. Like the trash being thrown into the ring. Scott Hall even kind of looked like annoyed, like at near the end. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" Like the look on his face was like, "Stop throwing shit in here, come on, guys!" Like,
do you know how many weeks this led to the WCW taking over ratings?
this is 83, or were they in the midst of that? Because I know the WCW had the 83-week run before Austin.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I don't know when it exactly kicked off, but
from 96 to 97, they definitely had a run.
Yeah, because it was Austin Stone McMahon. It was April 98, maybe March 98. And that was when it turned to WWF. So it was probably this pay-per-view onward was the 83 weeks that WCW was in charge of the Monday Night Wars.
Okay, here we go. And for WCW and the NWO continued to grow in popularity, and for the next 84 consecutive weeks, Nitro beat Raw in the ratings. Yeah, so this is historic in wrestling. One of the best heel turns of all time.
Yeah.
And it's funny how popular it was, even though how many matches they fucked up the ending to, how many botches because of Hogan, crazy outlandish finishes. But here was one of the best executed storylines, especially the beginning of it. Like such a big boom leading into such a build, such a fan base of people liking a heel. The fucking ring was full of garbage, dude. This was 100% real emotion.
Yeah.
Hogan was not thought to be the third man.
Even when he came out, like when Bobby the Brain Heenan says that, there was never any thought. Like, people weren't like, yeah. No one ever would have. No one thought, oh, Hogan's the third one. No way. Hogan. Like people thought Hogan's coming here to protect the brand. And then when he dropped that leg drop, like everything just went silent. Like people, yeah, you saw like those like 2 or 3 guys were just like, wow, like so excited. But everyone else is just like almost like when Undertaker got pinned by Lesnar at WrestleMania. People were just like, what?
Yeah, dude, it's full of garbage, man. People were pissed. They're like, what the hell, Hogan? We loved you.
It was wild.
We loved you. One of my most favorite moments of all time. I love the NWO. You guys can see the symbol of FHP. I'm an outsider with Jesus. My favorite wrestler, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the Diamond Stud. Never took the limelight, but was always one of the best workers, one of the best sellers.
Yeah.
And was happy with being number 2. He was happy with putting you over. He had his troubles, but, you know, in the wrestling world, to me, he's a god.
Oh, he's so good. His entrance, there was his walkout specifically on this pay-per-view was slow and drawn out, him and Nash, and it was so good. And you can read so much out of his demeanor when he comes out. Like he means business. Like we're taking over. This is it. Like, this is our night. Like so good from beginning to end. This match.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more of Luger. It kind of made a waste for him to be only in there for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops, maybe. But I get what they were trying to sell. Yeah. They had to get him out so that they could beat up on Sting and Macho a little bit, but
yeah, because then they focused on Sting, beat up Sting for a while.
Yeah.
And then they did the whole thing with Macho, and it was great doing it with Macho too, because we have the whole connection with Macho and Hogan, and then you have Hogan. You're like, oh shit, he's coming to save his boy.
I love that too, and they're like, oh man, they're best friends. I'm like, oh. And then you find out so much stuff about the backstage, like, yeah, Hogan never liked Macho, man.
Yeah, but you gotta sell it, bro.
That's it.
Out of the pay-per-view, out of the historicness, it probably, man, it had some shit matches though. Give it a 3.5, man. Probably 3.5 just because of
I go 3.5.
3.5.
3.5, maybe a 4 on a good day. I feel like Hogan, that turn was so big, it kind of overshadows.
Actually, if you go back to the Reign Psychosis, you do have some quality matches. I'd give it a
like
4 as well.
like Rand Psychosis was good.
2 points for Ryan today.
You got a good Malenko match in there. You got your little hardcore spot in there with the tag team match. Oh, that was a big boy.
Yeah.
I feel, and it was just so historic that I wish that they could have had some different talents in it, like switch some of those dark matches and put those on the pay-per-view and put some other matches off pay-per-view. But I mean, that main event alone I almost was watching. I'm like, man, I kind of wish it was 23 years ago now. And I'm watching this live just to feel that feeling all over again.
I've had my nephews relive this moment. They're like, "Can you teach us about the NWO?" And I'm like, "Sit down, you little fucking bitches. I'm gonna teach you about the NWO."
I saw a video earlier this year of this guy. I guess he had shown his kid all these Hulk Hogan DVDs matches.
I've seen that.
And then he shows him all the WrestleManias. Then he shows all the WCW with Hogan. And then he shows this kid Hogan turning, and this kid's like just devastated. And this is like
genuine emotion.
It's like a 5-year-old kid in 2019 watching this for the first time and be like, "What?"
Dude, they caused genuine emotion. That was unexpected. It was awesome covering it. I don't got much to say anymore about this. We've rambled for 2 hours now, Ryan. It's fantastic. Yeah. I love losing myself in this internet world, in this world between Canada and Chicago. Exactly where are you from?
Kitchener.
Kitchener and Chicago. Somewhere in between, we make a connection somehow and talk about wrestling and lose ourselves, and I love it. Yeah, it's 2 hours that we've been going.
Oof.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ryan. You got any closing words? Go ahead.
Well, belated happy birthday to the greatest wrestler, Bret Hart. Ooh, greatest technical wrestler of all time.
Born the day after, humble enough to take.
He's like, Canada, you have your day, I'll take my own.
Yeah. He's humble.
Yeah. No, happy 4th of July tomorrow to you, all the American listeners. I hope you do it right. I think I saw some pictures that you. Was that the upcoming barbecue that you were preparing, or was that from the weekend?
That was the weekend.
That was the weekend. Okay.
Yeah, we're grilling this. We're grilling tomorrow. My parents said we're grilling. I'm having a Full Heel podcast barbecue on the 5th.
Okay.
I didn't want to mess anyone's plans up with their family. I don't know if they had anything. My parents, I didn't know. They recently told me we were gonna do something on the 4th, so I had family plans, I guess then. So I had already invited them on the 5th. So I'm having my friends over. I told them just to bring weed so we can smoke and beer so they can drink because I don't drink and I do smoke, but weed's kind of expensive, especially the amount of weed I smoke. So it's a lot that I would have to do. So I told them just come, don't worry about food. I'm going to buy steaks and then I'm going to cook them for them. I'm going to buy hamburgers. That's pretty cheap. And I'm going to make hamburgers. But if you know how to cook and you know how to grill, you know how to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. It's all about getting the right fat to meat percentage. I get 25-75. The fat flavors the meat. You don't even need that much salt. I don't even need to add all that breadcrumbs or fucking Worcestershire. No, it's all about the percentage of fat to meat with a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, and then a nice piece of cheese, maybe Swiss, a nice pepper jack. I get some nice diced up onions, ketchup, mustard, mayo, maybe even just some cheese and barbecue. I could go for even one of those burgers.
That's it, yeah.
You don't even have to go that crazy, but if you know what you're doing, you can make fucking good ass burgers with just the right percentage of beef, So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to have some brats ready. I have to do some chicken for Quadro because Quadro doesn't eat beef. So I'm going to do maybe some barbecue basted chicken. I'm going to baste it, cook it, and grill it at the same time and continue to put barbecue sauce as I grill it. So
Nice.
it grills into it, and then a last coat after it comes off. It's going to be an awesome day. I wish you lived closer. I would invite you to my barbecue. You're invited to my barbecue if you can make it.
One day.
Ryan, yeah. Jeff, you're invited too if you can hear this. You're in Michigan, though. Maybe next year, Jeff. Yeah, so actually tomorrow we're going to talk about the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for checking us out. I want to wish a happy 4th of July to everybody. America.
Tomorrow's a huge day. It's huge.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy your Canada, your freedom, Canada. You're welcome. It's because of us. You have to admit it. We might be the bullies, but it's because of our bulliness that you guys could take advantage of freedom.
Hey, we burned down the White House. Don't forget, we took it down once.
Try it again, bro.
Yeah. Actually, as long as Trump's in there, I'm sure we'd have a lot of help from some Americans. So
yeah. We don't want to fight wars with our neighbors anyway. I've been to Canada. They're super nice, man. We don't want to. I wouldn't want to go to war with Canada.
We try our best.
Yeah, nice people in Canada. They won me over by being nice. Can't hate people for being nice.
No, you can. Like Ned Flanders.
Yeah. Hey, enjoy freedom. It's on us, bro.
Yeah.
It's on us. Like I said, hit that subscribe button. Close to 150 episodes, so over 100 episodes, over 1,000 hours of content of me bullshitting with my friends, talking about fights, talking about wrestling, all that cool stuff, smoking weed, talking about life, and just trying to get through this craziness. So happy 4th of July. Happy America's birthday. America isn't all that bad. Trump can only be president tops 8 years. If we can get Tulsi Gabbard in there, she'd be my pick.
Hey, why not the man who saved America on Independence Day? You know, like let's get Will Smith in there.
Yeah, bro, let's get him in there. The genie. Let's get some magic in there. Let's get some magic in there. I'll see you guys next time on the Full Hill Podcast. Live. For Ryan, I am Rafael Chaidez. I'll see you